Have you ever looked up at the winter sky and wondered what secrets hide beyond the clouds? What if I told you there's a legend, older than fire itself, about a kingdom carved from living ice? A place called AELTHARYS. For centuries, it floated above our world, a frozen crown in the sky, unseen by mortal eyes. At its heart stood the Everfrost Throne, a seat of power that didn't just rule a kingdom, but winter itself. The ruler of this realm was King Alaric Frostborn. Outsiders whispered he was cruel, a tyrant of ice and snow. But the truth was far different. Alaric believed cold was not a weapon to destroy, but a force to preserve life, to keep memory safe. Under his reign, AELTHARYS flourished. Towers of crystal mirrored the starlight, and rivers of glowing ice flowed through the silent streets. It was a haven of serene, cold beauty. But as we all know, peace is a fragile thing, a delicate frost pattern that can be shattered in an instant. Beneath the kingdom, sealed away by ancient magic, slept a primordial force known as the Hollow Winter. It wasn't cold in the way we understand it. It was a pure, consuming emptiness, an absence of everything. And this terrible power wasn't awakened by an invading army, but by the quiet poison of ambition. Vila, the king's most trusted advisor, saw Alaric's mercy as weakness. He craved a different kind of power, not one that protected, but one that dominated the world below. Blinded by his hunger for control, Vila shattered the forbidden seals beneath the throne, believing he could harness the Hollow Winter. He was catastrophically wrong. The moment the seals broke, the living ice of the kingdom screamed in agony. The very sky above seemed to fracture like a broken mirror, and the floating continent of AELTHARYS began its terrifying fall from the heavens. To save his people from annihilation, King Alaric made an impossible choice. He sacrificed his own freedom, binding his soul to the Everfrost Throne itself. In a final act of kingship, he froze himself in an eternal vigil, using his own life force to contain the rampaging Hollow Winter. The kingdom was saved from falling, but its king was lost, trapped between life and death. AELTHARYS, shrouded in grief and powerful new storms, vanished from sight once more, becoming nothing but a myth. And on its throne, the frozen king waited. Generations passed. The world below forgot the kingdom in the sky. Then, during the longest, coldest winter ever recorded, a girl was born in a small, snow-swept village. Her name was Elira. The night of her birth was marked by a strange omen. The snow didn't fall down, it rose from the ground, swirling upward into the dark sky as if being called home. The village elders whispered that it was a sign, but whether for good or ill, no one could say. Elira grew up an outcast. The biting cold that made others shiver never seemed to touch her. Frost would decorate her hair but never harm her skin. And in her dreams, she saw visions, a throne of shimmering ice, a silent king, and a voice calling her name across a vast distance. She felt a profound loneliness, a sense of belonging to a place she had never seen. On the dawn of her 18th winter, the sky above her village transformed. The clouds began to swirl into a massive, unending vortex, a spiral staircase of storms reaching for the heavens. It was then that the voice from her dreams grew clearer, echoing not in her ears, but in her very soul. It was ancient, weary, and filled with a deep sadness. Winter needs a heart, it whispered, not a cage. An irresistible pull, a call of destiny, led Elira away from everything she knew. She climbed mountains so high the air froze in her lungs and the silence was a deafening roar. She walked until the world of green and brown was a distant memory. And then, as she crested the final, impossible peak, she saw it. Suspended in the sky, veiled by the swirling storm, was AELTHARYS. The Ice Kingdom had returned. Hesitantly, Elira stepped into the Lost Kingdom. The air hummed with ancient magic and sorrow. She walked through silent, crystalline streets until she reached the heart of the palace. There it was, the Everfrost Throne. And bound to it, encased in ice but with his eyes open and aware, was King Alaric. He was neither alive nor dead, a silent guardian holding back a terrible void. As she approached, his gaze met hers, and understanding flowed between them without a single word spoken. He revealed the truth to her. The throne was never meant for a ruler who commanded with force. It required something far rarer, balance. It needed a soul who could hold the heart of winter, its cold and its stillness, but also possess the warmth of life, of fire, of compassion. Elira wasn't a long-lost princess or a descendant of the king. She wasn't chosen by bloodline, but by her very nature. She was the girl born of snow and fire, the one who could bridge the two worlds. But their reunion was cut short. Vila had not been destroyed. The hollow winter had not granted him the power he craved. It had twisted him, consumed him, turning him into a spectre of shadow and void. He emerged from the depths of the palace, a being of pure, hateful emptiness, his form shifting like a blizzard of sharp, black ice. He had returned to claim the throne he believed was his by right. The entire kingdom trembled at his presence. The ancient ice began to crack, and the stars visible through the crystalline ceiling started to dim, threatened by the encroaching void. The final battle for the soul of winter began. But as Vila lunged at her, his power a storm of nothingness, Elthary's understood what she had to do. The king had caged the hollow winter. Vila had tried to command it. Both had failed. She didn't fight him with force or try to overpower his darkness. Instead, she did the one thing no one had ever thought to do. She opened her heart and accepted the hollow winter. She didn't try to contain it or control it. She simply let it pass through her, guiding it, soothing its ancient loneliness with her own inner warmth. She showed it that it didn't need to consume to exist. In that moment of profound empathy, she melted the hatred that had fueled Vila for so long, without melting the ice of the kingdom. Deprived of his anchor of rage, Vila's form couldn't hold. He shattered into a million pieces of dark glass, fading into nothing. At the foot of the throne, the frozen King Alaric, his duty finally done, allowed himself a faint, peaceful smile as his form dissolved into gentle, falling snow. Elthary, now alone in the silent throne room, approached the Everfrost Throne. She took her seat not as a conqueror claiming a prize, but as a guardian accepting a sacred duty. As she did, the cracking ice of the kingdom healed. The violent storms surrounding AELTHARYS calmed into a protective, shimmering veil. The kingdom was stable once more, no longer hidden in fear, but watching over the world as a silent protector. Winter returned to its natural cycle on the lands below, beautiful, sometimes dangerous, but always necessary for the world to rest and be reborn. And so, the legend changed. People no longer spoke of a vengeful ice king or a prison in the sky. They told a new story, the story of AELTHARYS, the kingdom that endured, and of Elthary, the queen who proved that even the coldest winter can have a warm and beating heart. Thank you so much for watching this tale unfold. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more legends from Forgotten Realms. Let me know in the comments what kind of story you'd like to hear next. Until then, stay curious.